Hey everyone, I'm Burke. Welcome back to the channel. Be sure to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and rehab guidance. Today we're all about blood flow restriction training. If you're not familiar with this method, we're basically putting a non-elastic cuff, like a blood pressure cuff, on either an arm or a leg, occluding it to a certain pressure and using that to exercise. This triggers a whole bunch of very cool metabolic changes that lead to greater muscle strength and size. Now, all of this happens at a fraction of the force necessary under normal exercise circumstances, which is what makes this so appealing to someone like me in the rehab world. So why do I love it? The science is super fascinating, but I'm really here today to talk about the benefits. And I've chosen 6 of my top benefits of using BFR as a training tool. Number 1, I can change the relative workload on a muscle while reducing the absolute workload on other tissues. This is probably the biggest reason that I use it in the clinic. And the reason this is such a benefit is because muscles use oxygen as fuel. And if I restrict that, I can make that muscle think that it is being worked at a much harder intensity than it really is. Tendons, ligaments, cartilage, bone, all these other structures, since they don't burn oxygen as fuel, whether I have a cuff or not, doesn't matter to them. 30% load is different than 100% load or 80% load. So if I'm reducing load using BFR on the muscle, the tendon is also experiencing that reduced load as more of an absolute. To make this a little clearer, if I'm trying to rehabilitate a shoulder tendon, I can strengthen the heck out of that muscle while being super nice to that tendon. And that is a huge benefit for me in the rehab world. Number 2, I can trigger more growth in power, size, and fiber number using this method. All muscles have a mix of fiber types. Some burn more oxygen than others. And the ones that don't burn oxygen, they're going to be selectively targeted because we're basically starving the other ones out, if you want to put it that way, or at least limiting their oxygen. So that shifts the equation to the fast twitch side. And that fast twitch side is responsible for power, size, fatigue resistance. It's responsible for tons of really important muscle functions. And it's nice to have a tool that lets me tip the balance in their favor. So everyone, I'm glad you made it this far. Keep in mind, blood flow restriction is an advanced technique. And while it's safe, people do need to be screened before they use it. And this is not for everyone. And it should be done with someone who is trained and who understands the risks and who can screen you to make sure you're an appropriate candidate. So just like other important things in life, for your first time, be sure to do it with someone you know and someone you trust. Reason number 3, this allows me to play catch up with some muscles that might be weak. So let's say you have an injury, and that injury means you can't move a normal way, you can't use a certain muscle normally. Over time, that leads to an imbalance of that muscle, an imbalance of strength. With blood flow restriction training, I can really target that, go after it very intensely and also very safely. I have seen incredible results using this method to restore hamstring strength or shoulder strength or hip stabilizer strength. All of these groups that can be weak links when we're injured, this is a great tool for that. Reason number 4, it's a great way to teach my patients to train with intensity. So you guys can see this. It is no secret in the rehab world that most people just do not know how, or they are not comfortable exercising with the level of intensity, with the level of stress needed to actually produce the results we want. Blood flow restriction, by its very nature, creates pretty high level of intensity. And I think that gets my patients accustomed to working at that level, and that has downstream benefits when they go to do other exercises that are not blood flow restricted. So I hope you're finding this helpful so far. I've got 2 more for you. If you like this content, please help me out by subscribing to the channel. Reason number 5, and this caught me by surprise a little bit. Even at very high levels of intensity using blood flow restriction, we are not seeing the muscle soreness that we might normally see. And I suspect the reason is this is a very metabolic driven, a very chemical driven change rather than a mechanical change. So we're just not breaking tissue the way that we normally would to achieve the same level of intensity. And because of that, even if patients are working really hard in the clinic, they're just not sore afterwards. And that's kind of nice. And reason number 6, this is a great way to make rehab more interesting and engaging for my patients. I think the way the body works and the way it heals and recovers from injury is truly fascinating. That's one of the reasons that I love to do this. And using blood flow restriction, it automatically generates very, very interesting questions for my patients. They're very curious about how it works. And that opens the door for us to have other meaningful conversations just about general healing, wellness, and well-being, which I also think is going to help them in their future, maintaining their body and getting the most out of it. So it opens the door, and I think that's really cool. So these are 6 of my benefits. If you've used this method and you perceive other benefits, I hope that you'll leave a comment in the comment section below. Share that with other people. If there are exercises that you'd like to see or you'd like to learn more about the science behind blood flow restriction, let me know that as well. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. So here you can kind of see the smart cuff changing. So if I move my arm around, you can see how that number is changing. It's constantly monitoring my pressure, whereas this one, it's just like a python. It's wrapped around there. It is not letting go.